Washington, D.C., 1984. You are driving down Capitol Street, normal Tuesday afternoon, sun out, traffic moving, then you turn onto Hanover Place, and you stop, because the line of cars in front of you is not moving, bumper to bumper all the way down the block. Horns honking, engines idling, a line so long it is backing up onto the main road behind you. You would think there was an accident, maybe a parade, maybe something broke down up ahead. But there is no accident, there is no parade. You roll down your window, you look down the block, and you see them, 20 people on the street, moving fast, car to car, hand to hand, like a pit crew working a race. This is not a traffic jam, this is a drive-thru. And at the end of that block, if you squint just right, you can see something through the haze. A white dome. The United States Capitol building, 4 blocks away. The dealers on Hanover Place used to say it all the time. They would point down the street at that dome and say, "Over there they make the laws. Over here we break them." And they were not wrong, because while Congress was in session 4 blocks away, one man had built the most profitable, most brazen, most wide-open drug operation in American history, right on his own childhood block, in broad daylight, with cars lined up around the corner and 20 sellers working the street like it was a legitimate business. His name was Cornell Jones. The newspapers called what he built DC's cocaine supermarket. The IRS said he made $40 million in 10 months, and the streets called him the Czar. This is his story. Hanover Place Northwest, Washington, D.C. 1 block, dead end. Narrow enough that if 2 cars passed each other going opposite directions, somebody had to pull their mirrors in. And that narrowness, that dead-end design, was part of what made it perfect. You could see trouble coming from either end. Kids posted at the corners like sentinels, watching for police cruisers. The moment they spotted one, they'd holler it out, "Ol er ray, ol er ray." Pig Latin for rollers, for police. The whole block would hear it. Product would disappear. Hands would go empty. And by the time the cruiser turned onto Hanover Place, there was nothing to see, just people standing around. But Cornell Jones did not grow up thinking of Hanover Place as a trap to set. He grew up there as a kid. That block was his home. The house at number 8, his family's house, the garages, the narrow alleys, the dead-end wall at the west end. He knew every inch of it before he was 10 years old. And somewhere along the way, a thought took root. He knew this block better than any police officer ever would. He knew its angles, its sight lines, its exits. He knew which windows faced which direction. He knew which neighbors would talk and which ones would not. If you were going to build something on a block, build it on the block you already owned in your mind. Cornell Jones did not start small. At 16 years old, still in high school, he and a group of friends robbed the Army-Navy Bank near the Pentagon. Not a corner store, not a gas station, a bank near the Pentagon. They got away with it. And that moment, that first taste of what it felt like to take something big and walk away clean, it stayed with him. By the time he was a young man, Jones had done time, done stints, come back out, gone back in. The cycle that swallows most men whole. But Jones was watching while he was inside, learning, building the one thing that money cannot buy, and time in a cell actually can. Connections. By 1975, he was out. And this time he came back with a plan that nobody in D.C. had ever tried before. He was going to import directly, not buy from a middleman on the corner, not take what the local supply chain offered. Jones built connections that stretched to Amsterdam, to Thailand, He brought in PCP, heroin, cocaine at prices that undercut everything already on the street. And he was going to sell it right there, on Hanover Place, in the open. No hiding, no back rooms, no secret knocks or coded language. Just step up, pay your money, get your product, drive away. Like a store. Here is what the police described under oath in federal court. 1 block, Hanover Place Northwest. Running constantly, day shift, evening shift, overnight shift. 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. No holidays, no snow days, no days off. Conservative estimate from law enforcement, 1 kilo per shift. 3 shifts, that's 3 kilos a day. 21 kilos a week, moving through 1 city block. 20 or more sellers on the street at any given time. Each one working the cars. Each one moving fast, hand to hand, window to window like a choreographed operation. And the customers came. Lord, did they come. Not just from D.C., from the suburbs, Maryland, Virginia, working people, white-collar people, people who would never set foot in this neighborhood under any other circumstance, rolling their windows down on Hanover Place like they were ordering at a fast food joint. The line of cars got so long, it backed up onto Capitol Street. Horns, honking, people waiting, bumper to bumper like a Saturday afternoon at the grocery store. Except the grocery store was selling cocaine. And if you stood at the east end of that block while you waited, you could look straight down Capitol Street and see the white dome of the Capitol building sitting right there in the afternoon light. Over there, they make the laws. Over here, we break them. The Washington Post put it in print, called it the city's cocaine supermarket. Police commanders called it the most flagrant open-air drug market they had ever seen. A commander who worked narcotics and homicide in D.C. for years said, there might be 20 different people out on that street selling, and literally, cars lined up coming in to buy. Literally, that word matters. Because this wasn't a back alley whisper network, this was retail. Cornell Jones had built retail. You don't run something like that from a distance. Jones was hands-on, present, known, and he wanted to be known. He called himself the Czar of Hanover Place, not the king, not the boss. The Czar, an emperor's title, a man so far above the competition that regular crime vocabulary did not cover it. He bought real estate. 3 properties right there on Hanover Place were in the names of his aunt, his brother, a friend, and his mother. His 10-year-old daughter's name was on one of them, held in trust. He was building a portfolio while he was building an empire. He expanded. He brought in more supply lines. He moved weight not just on the street, but across the eastern United States. And he experimented. Jones did not just sell what he imported, he created. He mixed PCP and marijuana and produced something the streets called butt naked, named for exactly what it made people do. Strip their clothes, lose their minds, walk into traffic. He produced Love Boat, a concoction with such violent side effects that users would harm themselves and others. Hallucinations, rage, blackouts. He was running a laboratory and a distribution network at the same time. And the money was staggering. The IRS would later calculate conservatively that Cornell Jones generated $40 million in the 10 months of 1985 before his arrest. $40 million, 10 months, 1 block in Washington, D.C. They hit him with a tax bill of $16 million on the theory that even illegal income is subject to taxation. The Czar of Hanover Place owed the IRS $16 million in back taxes on his cocaine empire. By 1984, the city had had enough. D.C. police launched what they called Operation Beat It, named after the Michael Jackson song that was burning up the charts. They hit Hanover Place hard, arrested sellers, pushed the operation back. It lasted 5 months. 5 months later, the cars were back. The sellers were back. The horns were honking again. You cannot arrest a market. You can only move it temporarily. But by 1985, the pressure was building from every direction. The FBI, the District of Columbia Police, and the United States Attorney's Office were all watching Hanover Place. They were watching Cornell Jones. They built their case carefully. They arrested low-level sellers and brought them in for interviews. One by one, those sellers pointed up the chain. All roads led to the same name, the Czar. So they got creative. An undercover officer made contact through a cooperating informant. He got close, and he started having conversations. On October 29, 1985, they set the trap. Not on Hanover Place, not in some back alley. At the Hyatt Regency Hotel on Capitol Hill. The same Capitol Hill, 4 blocks from Hanover Place. Cornell Jones walked into that hotel and paid $30,000 in cash to undercover D.C. police officers for what he believed was 1 kilogram of cocaine. During the conversation that the undercover agent recorded, Jones said he could handle 20 kilograms a week. 20 keys a week. His own words, on tape. They arrested him right there in the hotel. Then they fanned out across the city, hitting his house, 2 apartments, and 2 safe deposit boxes. What they found was more than $2.5 million in cash, jewelry, cocaine, cars, and gold. When Cornell Jones entered his guilty plea in U.S. District Court, he smiled. He smiled and waved to his family like a man who had had a good run and knew it. The judge set sentencing for January. Georgetown University basketball coach John Thompson, one of the most respected men in Washington, D.C., showed up to testify to Jones's character. More than 100 people from Hanover Place signed a petition asking the judge to release him on bond. The neighborhood loved the Czar. The judge sentenced him to 9 to 27 years in federal prison at Leavenworth, Kansas. And Hanover Place went quiet for the first time in years. 1995. Cornell Jones walked out of Leavenworth after 9 years. He came back to D.C., and he did what smart men do when they come home. He went legitimate, or so it appeared. He started a nonprofit called Miracle Hands. He billed it as a resource center for the unemployed, the underserved, people coming out of incarceration, people like him. He was charismatic, connected. The streets still remembered his name with a kind of reverence. BET put him in their American Gangster documentary series and gave him a nickname that fit him perfectly, the Ghost, a man who ran something massive and left almost no fingerprints, who appeared and disappeared, who never fully went away. And Miracle Hands did real work, got real funding. Between 2004 and 2008, DC's HIVAIDS administration gave the organization more than $4 million $4 million to Cornell Jones, the Czar of Hanover Place. You have to sit with that for a second. The same city that spent years trying to shut him down, that deployed 60 officers around the clock on his block, was now writing him checks. Here's where it gets perfect. Jones applied for city grants, specifically $329,654 to renovate a warehouse space on Queens Chapel Road Northeast into a job training center for ex-offenders. The city approved it, the money came in, and Cornell Jones, true to form, consistent to his last breath, ran the play one more time. 4 months after receiving those grant funds, he opened a nightclub in that same building. He opened the Stadium Club, a strip club, on Queens Chapel Road Northeast. The job training center never opened, not a single day. The invoices submitted to the city were for work That was never done or done without permits. 9 falsified documents. The jury found it all in 4 days. D.C. sued him in 2011. He countersued for defamation. His countersuit was thrown out in 2012. In 2014, the jury came back guilty on all counts. The Czar had played the government one last time. He used their own grant money to build his nightclub. He walked in 2 nights a week to host the entertainment. He brought 200 people through the door on his name alone. And somewhere in that stadium club, you have to imagine, he found it funny. The city that could not stop him on Hanover Place. The city that named a police operation after a Michael Jackson song to shut him down. The city that took 9 years of his life. It had just paid for his strip club. Hanover Place today is quiet. Condos where the garages used to be. Hardwood floors and gas fireplaces inside houses that used to be stash houses. Renovated, gentrified. The murals are mostly gone. The house at 8 Hanover Place, Cornell Jones's childhood home, sat abandoned and boarded for years. Windows punched in. Floors heaped with garbage and liquor bottles. An unofficial memorial to what used to be. The Washington Post sent a reporter down that block and found Leroy Harris, 82, who had lived there 30 years, one of the only homeowners left. He said nothing much had happened there. No new neighbors, no new businesses, just a lot of vacant buildings. And yet, stand at the east end of that block, look down Capitol Street. The dome is still there. White, enormous, exactly where it always was. Over there, they make the laws. Over here, Cornell Jones built a $40 million cocaine supermarket on his childhood block, defrauded the city that jailed him, opened a strip club with government grant money, and hosted the entertainment 2 nights a week until the jury said enough. He was never Rayful Edmond, never the flashy king with his name in every headline. When Jones went to prison in 1985, Tony Lewis stepped up. Tony Lewis partnered with Edmond. Together, they built what came after. But what came after only existed because Cornell Jones built the foundation first. He was the original, the architect, the man who looked at one dead-end block in Washington, D.C. and saw something nobody else saw. A store. Open 24 hours. No days off. Cars around the corner. Horns honking. The Capitol Dome in the background. They make the laws over there. He broke them right here. And for 10 months, he made $40 million doing it. If you're new here, hit subscribe. There are 1,000 stories in this city that nobody's told yet. This was one of them.